Today we are going to be using napkins to create some beautiful cards, and I'm going to show you 3 tips that you will love. So let me show you this card. Look at that card. That is a napkin mat. Are you excited? Let's do this. The first thing you need to do, as I always say, is grab your palette, right? You want to decide on the colors that you're going to use. So we'll be using Very Vanilla. I have this beautiful 2-sided patterned paper. And remember, all the supplies and materials and measurements are going to be listed over on our website at creativemomentsbyg.com. Click on my blog and you'll be able to access all that information. So let's cut our base card first. Now this is just going to be a regular size card. We are going to cut this card at 8.5 by 5.5, and we're going to score it at actually 2 places. Let me show you how we're going to do that. So we're going to leave our measurement of 8.5. We're going to cut it at 5.5. And then we are going to score at 4 1/4, but we have one more score to make after that. So we are just scoring it in half. And this is going to be very much like a Z fold. So we're going to fold this over to the left. We're going to grab our bone folder and give it a good crease. And there's lots of ways you can do it. You can put another score line here at 2 1/8, or you can just grab this and fold it back and give this a good crease. Now, because I want this to stay shut, I don't want this open, I'm going to go ahead and use my tape runner and get some tape right there. Just going to fold this back. And now let's go ahead and cut this piece of patterned paper for the inside and this flap, and then we're going to get busy with our napkin. So this flap right here is cut at 1 7/8 by 5 1/4. So let's just go ahead and do that. Now, my pattern paper is directional, so I'm paying attention because I want my lines to be vertical. So make sure that you really take that into consideration. Now, this piece right here, oh, look what I'm going to do. I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to use this as my background. Now, for this area right here, I need it to be 4 by 5 1/4. Now, I want my column to be 4. So let's go ahead and cut that. And as I mentioned earlier, that's the way I think of it. When I have patterned paper that is directional, I always think, how do I want my column to look? And that's where I cut it at 4 inches. And then I turn it long ways and I cut it at 5 1/4. Now I'm just going to add that just like that. Look how pretty that is. Oh, so pretty. I'm going to bring in my tape runner. Going to bring this one in. And here we have our card. Now, let's bring in our beautiful napkin. Now, when you're working with napkins, here is the first technique that you want to be careful with. Napkins are very delicate when you take the quilting off. Now, on napkins, there are 2-ply and 3-ply. On this one, a little technique to get it to separate is to go ahead and turn it upside down and just use your bone folder. Do you see how that just flipped right up? That's because we're releasing the quilting with our bone folder. Great idea, right? This does not have another piece of quilting on it. So now we can actually create 4 cards from this one napkin. Now, all I can tell you is look at these beautiful napkins that I got. I got all these napkins for $3.99 at a box store. And we love this new store. It just came into our town and we love it. So the next thing you want to do, being very careful with your napkin, is you want to bring in a pair of scissors because your trimmer will actually tear your napkin. So what I'm going to do is just cut apart one of these squares. And I am going to create, like I said, this Z-fold that has a large flap right here. And it's really a flap card, and that is going right here. So what I did is I cut the size that I wanted. Now this size depends on what you want your card to look like, right? Everybody is a little bit different. I want mine to be rather large because I want to get those pumpkins on there. So to do that, I need to go ahead and just see how I can position this to where I can get most of the pumpkins. Now, I don't need that way up there. So what I do is I just decide where I want it. I'm going to move this to the side. Now, there are several ways that you can adhere this napkin to your mat. You could use a tape runner, but the tape will tear your napkin. You can also use watered down glue. Just take some white Elmer's glue, put it in a little container, add some water, and then give this a glue wash, and you can lay it down. And it's pretty good. That is also an excellent way. But what I want to do is I want to go ahead and use this glue stick. Now, this is perfect for the way I want to adhere it. So I'm going to grab my silicone mat, and I'm just going to lay all this glue from this glue stick. Now you're going to notice something really strange. It's purple. And this comes back from my teaching days when the little kids needed to see where they put their glue. And so we would get purple glue sticks. But this does dry clear, so you don't have to worry about it. Now, you want to make sure that you get it on all the edges, all the corners, because you don't want it to come up at all. So we have this pretty good. And now there's several ways to do it. You could, if you could see better, this pumpkin, let me see if we can see it. You can actually see it better if you put it on a piece of paper upside down. But I still can't see it exactly the way I want it. So I'm just going to set this right here on my design table, bring back in my silicone mat, and I'm going to position this right where I want it. Let's just see. You can see this is where I want it. Now I'm just going to press down, and I know that I have enough glue on it. Look at that. Now, if you have wrinkles, you're going to be the only one who notices, so don't worry about it. If you have some big wrinkles, well, you might need to try to lift it up, but be very careful when you do that. You might be able to lift it up just a little bit and not tear it, but it's really best if you just try to be careful when you lay it down so that you don't get wrinkles. Now take this off your silicone mat, and we are just going to use our scissors to cut away the excess. Remember, and I tried, when you put it in a trimmer, it's going to tear your napkin because it's so delicate. So you have to be careful. Now, when you use a big pair of scissors, you can feel your scissors running right alongside that edge. So it is so nice. Look at that. It's looking beautiful. Okay, so now we have it adhered to the size mat that we want. Now, if you want to, you can take it at this moment and you can spray some sealant on it. You can also spray, we've done research on it and we actually tried it, hairspray. But you hold it about 7 inches apart. Make sure you have it in your trash can so the hairspray doesn't go everywhere, or the sealant, and just spray over it. And it'll toughen this up just a little bit, but we really didn't like the feel of it, so we're just keeping it this matte finish, and look how beautiful that is. Oh my goodness. Now, I also wanted to have a mat underneath it. So I picked up a coordinating color. You can barely see it, but you can see a little bit of green or old olive right there. So I'm going to go ahead and set this up on dimensionals. And I took the backing off and we're just going to set this down on our mat. Now this is such a fantastic activity that you can do with your card class. You could say, hey, bring your favorite napkin. We're going to turn it into a card. Or you could do it with your grandkids, your nieces, your nephews, or your kids. What fun, especially for the holidays coming up. Look at this. Look how pretty that is. Oh, just lovely. Now we already have the sentiment right here, so we don't have to worry about that. Now I am just going to adhere this to the front, and we only want to adhere it right here halfway. So I just put a little line right there, and I know this is where I want my dimensionals. So I'm just going to bring in my bone folder and let it do a little double duty, right? So where are my dimensionals? It's kind of like Waldo. Where are the dimensionals? I found them. So I'm just going to put some dimensionals right here to the left of this bone folder because I know I can't have anything over there. Gonna bring our card in, and I'm going to center it, making sure that I have about the same distance top to bottom. And now I need to put just a little area here so you could write. You could also write right over this, so that's not a problem. You could leave it like that if you want, but I don't want to. I want to go ahead and bring in just a small mat. I'm going to put a mat right there. And I'm going to stamp on it, have a blessed day. So tap, tap, tap. And I want to put it right in the center. That way you won't be able to see it. Until you open it, right? Look at that. Beautiful. So now let's go ahead and just lay this down flat. Get it centered. And look at our first card. Oh, isn't it beautiful? Don't you love it? I mean, they have some beautiful napkins. And now you can take your favorite napkin and turn it into a card. Now make sure that you stay with us because I have 2 more cards to show you that I know you're going to love. So let's make one more card. It's such a cute little card too. So we have just cut a mat. And remember, all the measurements are hanging out over on our blog. We just cut a mat because that's going to be the base part of our card. Now I went ahead and I picked some colors that I want to coordinate with this beautiful napkin. Look at that. Does that just take your breath away? So pretty. Now remember what you do is you grab your napkin, you cut out a piece of it, and we're just going to cut this apart. Now look at this napkin. We actually have 6 different areas. You will be able to create 6 cards with this one napkin. Isn't that amazing? Now remember, we turn it over on the back, we get our bone folder, and we just very lightly press down, and we're trying to separate the quilting, and it comes right up. Look at that. So we just very carefully pull it apart, and now we have it, the area that we want to cut apart and use. Now, I thought these colors went so nicely with it. Look at that. What do you think? Now, on this particular card, we need a very small part of it. Just a little piece like this right here. So, we're going to do it the same way. I'm going to go ahead and use my glue stick, my purple glue stick, to cover this area. Now you want to make sure, once again, make sure you cover those corners. You don't want your napkin coming up. Now we are just going to decide where we want this. You just move it around until you find the exact spot you want. Now, I know I am going to put a small little sentiment right down here. So I wanted to keep this branch. So I'm just pushing this down really well. And we still have this whole area right here to turn into another card. I can go ahead and just push this because now I'm pushing on the back. I don't have to worry about tearing the napkin. You can use your bone folder, give it a good push, and then we're just going to cut it apart, all the excess. We're going to keep this for another card. Look at that. And this is the time, if you decided to put a sealant on it, you would want to do it right now before you got it close to your cardstock and your base card. But we're not going to do that. We're going to go ahead and just leave it matte just like this because I love it. So the next thing we want to do is go ahead and get these two mats on top of each other because they become our columns on the side of our card right here. So let's grab our tape runner and get those laid down. Now we're just going to lay these down right on the side, and we're going to make sure that we have a margin top to bottom and side about the same distance. So you can see that we need it to be about right there. So let's go ahead and use our tape runner. And these cards are so quick, but it is so much fun working with napkins because we know that there are some absolute beautiful napkins out there. Okay. Now, for the middle card, look what we've done. We've just taken a little card. We've made it kind of like a Z, right? And we have cut this mat, and then we're going to lay this mat on top of it. Look at how beautiful that is. So let's go ahead and get our beautiful sunflower just laid down. And now we're going to decide how this is going to lay down on our card. You see how it fits perfectly in between these two columns? Well, the only place you need to put some glue is right here. So let's run our tape runner alongside the back. And let's close this. And now let's just line this up right between them. And it does go from top to bottom all the way. Now let's put some tape on the back of this and add it to the front. Look at that. Oh, is that terrific? You have this whole area to write your sentiment. It stands up perfectly. We're always concerned about standing up. And I have taken "Have a blessed day," and we are just adding this right down here, and we're going to add it with some mini dimensionals. And look at this card. Are you amazed? Isn't it beautiful? Oh my goodness. Look at this one again. We just have to read your comments. Take a moment and let us know what you think about using napkins for your cards. But let me show you some additional cards that we made that we think you're really going to love. I showed you this one earlier. I went ahead and double matted it. Look at this though. We added some little sparkles right here. We just put a very thin strip because you don't want to cover up your beautiful napkins. I mean, they are just way too pretty, right? Now look at this one. This one we used an orange card. We did that beautiful sentiment. Faith is being sure of what we cannot see. Look at how beautiful that is. And look what we did. We cut out one of the sunflowers on the napkin and we added it to our mat. Oh, so pretty. And finally, we did a smaller version of this one. Look at this. This is a napkin. It says "Give thanks." So pretty. Have a blessed day. We hope that you were inspired by all these beautiful napkins that you can use to create beautiful cards. Well, we would so appreciate it if you'd take a moment, subscribe to our channel, and share with your friends. Remember, check out this video up here. It may just be your favorite. Well, we just appreciate you so much. And until next time, Monty and I hope your days are filled with creative moments.